welcome to UFO Secret Space, and I'm your host, Janet Care Lessin, and we have Veronica Bartolini, Penny Bradley, and Susan Johnson on our panel today, and these are all wonderful UFO spiritual contactees, secret space program folks, and they have a massive story to tell today. So we don't have a lot of time, only 2 hours. I'm going to start with Penny. And so Susan and Veronica don't know your story very well, Penny, so try to do like 10 to 15 minutes. I'm going to, I think everybody's live. Okay, didn't mute everybody. Okay, so begin with you, Penny, because we're all getting to know each other. And I know you could go for 5 hours, but let's just do a brief thing here just to get everybody kind of on board and get the dialogue going. Take it away, Penny. This is Penny Bradley, listeners.
Okay, I don't know Susan very well, so I'm going to assume that I'm the oldest one of the experiencers here. And in my generation, they were first learning how to mind fracture people. And so mind fracture has to be done with somebody under the age of 7, because if you're over that, when they torture you, you just go catatonic and basically die on them. So what they wanted to do was to create alters that could do the work without the main personality remembering, and that would give them plausible deniability. So we were tortured for their benefit, not our own. I was kidnapped when I was 4 years old, and my mind fracture and training process took 5 years. And I came out of this with 2,200 alters. And when I was 9 years old, the CIA, who did my kidnapping and mind fracture, the CIA turned me over to the Germans on Mars. Now, they are not connected with Germany, the country, and I want to make that very clear. We are not talking about Earth-level German nation. We are not talking about the people on Earth who speak German. We are talking about people who came originally from those countries and are now in space. And they have their own breakaway civilization, and they are not Nazis. They are Germans. In fact, they're closer to Teutonic Knights than anything else. So I wanted to make that clear because I was raised with these people from the time I was 19. From 9. Shit. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I was 9 when I was sent to Mars through the jump gate that's on Long Island in New York. And I was in Schule for 10 years with them because the Germans want their people to be educated. They don't want you just trained for your job. They want you to be able to think. You know, what are these other people going to do if some of the other factions don't do this? And so when their officers are killed in battle, they're left with the guys that only know their job and can't think. So the Germans took a different approach. And by the time I was 19 and graduated at the end of 10 years of Schule, I had the equivalent of a Bachelor of Arts. And I was also trained in my job, which on Mars I was a fighter pilot, and I did air support for the ground troops because the Germans had started a war on Mars. And the reason being, every square inch of territory in the solar system already belongs to somebody else. And there are 2 ways to get a place to live. One is to sublease, and the Draco were the only ones who would sublease to the Germans. And the areas that were available were not suitable for humans. The other way to get a place to live is to go to war and take it from the people who have it. So that's what the Germans did. And they declared war on the Mars mantids, who actually look more like ants, and the raptors, who they look like they're out of Jurassic Park, but they have longer arms. So these were our enemies in this war, and both of them were highly intelligent races, and the Mars mantids have spaceflight. So we're talking about people used loosely, about people who have technology at our level or higher. And the Germans just started nuking them. So the war started in about 1962 and lasted until 1990. And the Germans sublet what they had gotten from the Draco to the CIA, and that allowed the American forces to come in. And this is the category that Randy Kramer was saying he was in, was the Mars Marines, or Space Marines, I believe he calls them. And I know that there were American teams that were involved in this war because I flew air support for them. So I never met Randy while I was there, but I know that what he describes did indeed happen, and it was my commanding officer on Mars who had ordered his Battle of the Blender and was punished for it by his commander, who was a Draco. And the Draco value honor above anything else. If you have no honor, then you might as well go kill yourself, because you have no place in their society. And what had happened was we had finally signed treaties with both of the other races and ended the war. And it wasn't even a month later we were invading their holy spaces and trying to steal technology. And the Draco considered this to be dishonorable. And that was why they punished my commander for ordering it. And the Alpha Jack who came in and gave him a dressing down was fully aware that this full-blood German was physically incapable of being in the same room with him for a half hour, because full-blood humans are not hardwired for it. And so he screamed at him for the full half hour, both verbally and psychically. So the rest of us were all hearing this telepathically, even though the doors were shut. And he finished up with gutting him while he was still alive and left him there on the floor. And when he left, we took our commander and put him into regen. And he came out a week or so later a much humbler person. So I got into trouble on Mars in 1990 because a man I had a de facto marriage with, I was sent to take out a raptor nest just before the war was over. And the computer on my ship showed me what was going on inside, and there was my husband being dinner for a group of raptors, and he was still alive, and I panicked. And the computer on my ship interpreted that as fire all weapons, and afterwards there was an investigation, and the Germans on Mars went back in time and rescued all the humans who were there. So he didn't actually die in it, but they said they could no longer trust me because I had panicked, and that I had too powerful of weapons on my ship to be someone that they couldn't trust. And so I was transferred to Nacht Waffen, which is the actual military of the German civilization in space. And I was a navigator on a freighter ship for another 25 years. And this is my initial alter who served in space. She was the one who went through most of the mind fracture. She was the first alter that was split off of Penny, who is my Earth person. Her name was Penelope Valkirchen, and Valkirchen was the name of our unit. It was, in English, it's the Valkyries, and we were a group of women fighter pilots. And so, just like the mythology of the Valkyries, we were women warriors. And one of the things that we did was hunt for human remains, because we had regeneration technology that could bring you back from the dead for up to 4 months. So part of the job was to find human remains and bring them back. And if you had like a mess after a battle, you took their heads because their memories would be in their heads. And we would regenerate these people. And that's exactly what is in the ancient mythology about the Valkyries, is that they would go into battle, and the brave warriors who were dying, that the Valkyrie would take their head and put them on her belt, and then take them to Valhalla, where that she would hold the head up and the body would grow back from it. And that's exactly what we did in the regen tanks. So I was literally reliving the Valkyrie mythology. So all of my memories from that altar are in German, not English. And so I had to do a lot of research to understand what she was remembering. When I reintegrated that altar, the German language did not come with her, and I don't understand why not. But I still have all of the sensory. I remember what it felt like. I remember the smells, the tastes, the feels, the panic sometimes, and the sick feeling in the pit of my stomach when I had to behead somebody that wasn't quite dead yet. I was a warrior. I did what was required, and I was an officer. I had command over others, and I played an important role both on Mars and on the freighter ship. The freighter ship did materiel support for the Draco Armada. Okay, the Draco Empire is huge. It is a large area of both the Orion Spur and the Sagittarius arm of Milky Way. And
so
where
Penny, I want to remember where you are, because you're going to go into Draco Armada and the Empire. Because I'm going to let everybody say a little bit, and then we're going to go ask each other questions. And so just make a note for you that you're going to be talking about the Draco Empire, okay? And let me put you on mute, and I'll pull in Veronica. Okay? Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Veronica. Are you there?
Yes, one moment.
Oh, okay. So I know Penny's a hard act to follow, but about the same amount of time, about 15 minutes. Tell us, summarize your story. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, sorry. I really don't know where to start. I do thank everyone for being here, for inviting me. So, I'm still getting my memories back. I had my awakening in 2017, contacted Penny. She's helped me a lot. And I do have my memory of being a pilot as well. And the three men in black were asking me about a mathematical equation, something to do with the mission. And, in that memory, I remember shaking my head, and I'm like, I'm not going to give it to you, because a bunch of other pilots did die, unfortunately. And I was the only survivor. Now, I don't know. I don't know if it was Mars yet, but I do have an altar. Her name is Soel, Soel, that is from Mars. And that's where we fought off the raptors and saved the children in the black cages under there in the caves. Let's see. I did have a near-death experience in 2010 where I did die for the 3 days. I was in the hospital for a month and a half. I was hearing a lot of messages from the V2K voice to skull, that I shouldn't be living anymore. This was in 2010. Now, when I was 33 years old, I was just washing dishes, and I just was getting all the memories back from when I was a kid with all the sexual abuse that happened with me, with family members. And, I thought this is crazy. But when I did have my full awakening, it was like this light just came out of my chest, and I fell to the ground. I said, I what is going on? Like, I just felt like so much unconditional love. I saw the Maitreya, or I don't know if it was Jesus, but I saw the Maitreya coming out of a cave, and it also had a triangle, and he was showing me his hands. He had a turban. He had a white robe on. At that time, when the light came out of my chest like that, I heard a loud noise, and a white light just hit the ground outside. At that time, I was living with my best friend, her husband. We went outside, and we're like, what happened? The neighbors heard it too. What do we do? Who do we call? So anyway, it's just, it's been crazy. Like, I was taken, I was trying to go astral one day. I said, okay, I'm going to try to go astral. So I remember waking up, and I didn't know where I was. I'm like, am I still on planet Earth? I disappeared. Like, where's my body? And I came to, and I asked my best friend at the time, I said, are we still on so-and-so date? It was 2017. I said, are we still on planet Earth? That's how crazy it was. So, sorry about the noise. I'm almost home. So, and ever since my awakening, I've just been having a lot of visions. I can tell the future. I do cleansings and things like that. I do readings. And, when I predicted what's going on right now, people are, my family, they're like, you're crazy. People on Facebook, they called me crazy, and all kinds of stuff. But it's like I've learned to trust my abilities. And I'm a starseed. I am Traveler 1800 from Andromeda. I don't know too much about, I know that I'm changing the timelines here. I did ask Penny, and she said she doesn't know too much about it, but we're learning together, aren't we? Yeah. I know that we've been here 16 times already to change the Earth. I mean, I've been here supposedly. I did a channeling with someone, and supposedly I've been coming here for 73 billion years. I'm like, oh, my gosh, with my twin flame. So I'm like, this is, to me, even to the mind, it's like, what? But what else can I say? I guess I can give somebody else a turn.
you said we can pass, but I just wanted to say you said you were part of. Let's see, you worked with. Here is it? Oh, yes, that's you. Project Crystal Gates worked with Dolphin Super Soldiers, Stargate 1, part of the Umbrella
Stargate
Corporation's Hog program,
Mm-hmm.
Monarch, Montauk, Mannequin, and Kruger, Nacht Waffen. Those are all yours?
Yeah, all mine.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going nuts because I was like, okay, I came here with all the abilities. I can do all kinds of stuff. I know I was in all the programs that, that I was looking at, and so I contacted Nisha Johnson. She did a reading for me. I didn't know she was going to do a reading. So she confirmed that it was all yes, contactees, abducted, CIA, blah, blah, blah. So, the hardest thing, which is funny, I don't know why I'm thinking about it right now, but when I date someone, they always say, oh, you're here to kill me or you're here from the CIA. I'm like, I don't work for the CIA anymore. They're like, but you worked for them before. And it's crazy. And, yes, I have German blood. I have Persian blood. I have Italian. I got the Spanish. I'm not Mexican. I was raised Mexican. I have French blood. I have Indian blood from Baja, California. I have Draco blood. They used me for the project in Antarctica. That's where they have my light body. This is the clone body, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I took control over my body, lost a bunch of weight, got stronger, and so I do have the mermaid, what do they call that, the dolphin DNA. I can communicate with them. A lot of people, we'll say normal people are like, well, how do you know you're channeling or communicating with the right beings? Because there is, right, Penny, what Amaria and I were talking about earlier on Facebook, there is the Ashtar and the, the Galactic Federation that is not, it's a psyop. So anyway, that has a lot to do with V2K, MK Ultra, things like that. I'm just really grateful for my family, for my SST family, because they've all helped me, I came on with James Ring. He was interested in my story. I thank him. I thank Penny. I thank Susan, Amaria, everybody. I'm not really allowed to mention some names, but,
You're thanking them all.
I'm thanking you all, guys. I love you so much. You know that. I started my YouTube channel because I thought, you know what, I got to get a log for me, a dream log. And then finally, Penny's like, you know what, just talk, because if you got to hide in the light, per se, quote unquote, you'll be protected. Don't worry. And, so I'm here.
Wow. We really appreciate you. Thank you. So I'm going to talk. We have a virtual talking stick, and I love that we're creating this SSP family, because I think we all need each other, and I want to get more involved. I feel so isolated. I'm way over here in Maui, and but I'm not going to go into my story today. That's for another day. But this is focused just on the three of you today, and I hope that we can do more of these shows, because I think by connecting the dots, we get the ahas and more of the stories. And I really appreciate, Penny, all the work you've done in this field. You're my sister. You're amazing. I just love you. I hope someday we can see each other again in person. And I've never met you, Veronica, and I've never met Susan. But, we meet here in virtual reality or whatever this internet is, and we can still develop deep friendships. So we're going to pass the talking stick to you, Susan. This is Susan Johnson, and she's a new friend. I met her just a couple months ago. So, Susan, for about 15 minutes, tell us your story.
It started when I was about 5 years old. I always sensed that I didn't belong here, that I wasn't supposed to be here. And then around 7 years old, that's when I had the dream that I was abducted by the black hole after we were entering the Earth's solar system, and we were going at the speed of light, because when we were going past the sun looked like a solid ball of rock, which means we were going at the speed of light. Because if you go at the same speed as something, it appears to be still. And when you're bouncing off the gravitational fields of the planets, and when we entered in the Earth's upper atmosphere, a spatial rift or a black hole opened up to the right-hand side of the ship. I think they call it starboard. I'm not sure. And it was the only one that woke up immediately, because I'm a Zvari, meaning a specialized navigator. I can fly any kind of highly advanced navigational system that the ETs have. And the other ones were human crew. They were human Nyandan crew from the constellation of Lyra and the Ring Nebula on a planet called Nyanda. And I was an Archeron Nyandan, which means I was ovoid formoid, meaning formoid looks human, but they're more multidimensional. And I'm one of the very few people that can fly any kind of navigational system. That's what I was shown. That's what I was told. And I woke up after the third phase of reconversion from pure energy back into the solid form again, and the rest of the crew were still asleep. Heck, they shift the mass to the black hole, not away from it, to the black hole. He woke up all groggy, and he shift the mass away from the black hole. We got obliterated by the black hole. Apparently, when you're dealing in the hyperdimensional space, the physics is different than when you're dealing in quantum mechanics or classical mechanics on the Earth. And then I was floating around for a while, and then I incarnated here. And then they showed me my parents on the ship and everything, and they explained to me the in utero and vitro techniques and everything at 7 years old, 1967. So I already knew about in utero and vitro and all that.
Are you there?
Hello?
Okay, go ahead. Keep going. I couldn't hear anything for a while.
I don't know
I don't know if I'm the only one that couldn't hear or if you were talking. I had shifted up my foot going to sleep. Can you keep talking? Go ahead.
Yeah, so then anyway, the experiences continued from there, and then I kept getting ongoing experiences all my life. Every night when I go to sleep, I go up, and I do work up there and stuff. And at first we were doing planetary synthesis, and then we were awakening a lot of people to their true identity on this planet. And then we do like interplanetary missions where we go to other parts of the universe, and we do like planetary work there. And then we fight wars, and we mostly fight like the negative, destructive, parasitic beings. It doesn't matter what race they are, if they're mantid or insectoid or reptoid or humanoid or formoid or whatever. We'll go after them if they're evil. And there's been a lot of planets that were exploited, and the races were being exploited and enslaved, and the resources were being scavenged from those planets. We had to liberate those planets, and then we had to install provisional governments from the progenitors of that specific planetary race, and then we'd have to leave after we were sure that the government was stable and established. And it was mostly the negative ETs, like the tall whites, the negative ET tall whites, the negative grays, the negative reptilians we would chase, and we would go after them, and then chase them. And then there was different factions within the secret space fleet that are working with us, but then there are other factions that keep shooting at us. And one faction that's run by the evil global elite, the Cabal, shot at the Black Knight, which was that Black Knight UFO over the Earth that was run by Epsilon Booties. And when that happened, I had poltergeist activity in this house in 2015. And I had the white tattoos.
What made you have poltergeist activity? Because they shot at the Black Knight. Do you know what that was about? 2015.
And also, I found out that I had a so-called recall that on Mars there was 5 human colonies that were flattened because they were exploiting other alien races and enslaving them and torturing them and stuff. And when 2 days later, and this is like June of 2015, that's when the poltergeist came in the house and started throwing things at me, and it was writing stuff on my door like F you and die and all that stuff. And then finally, I asked my crew, I said, you got to help me. We got to figure out who this is, what they're doing, why are they doing this, what do they want? So we figured out that it was some kind of it was a bluish type of being, and it had little tiny horns like on its head, but not very big, like maybe about an inch and a half long by about maybe a half an inch in diameter. And they were like gray and half reptoid, but they had more proportioned features like that of a human. Like the head wasn't exaggerated like the biodroids. And they were showing me that they were using cadavers, and they were fortifying their own bodies with the different cadavers from various different wars. And they were told to do this by their captors to reinforce themselves and make themselves stronger. And I spoke to another person and found out later that they use certain like stem cells and epithelial tissue and stuff to reinforce and to make them super soldiers by grafting, like tissue grafting and recombinant DNA splicing in different organs and stuff to enhance their vision at night and enhance their strength. And I found out that they were doing all of this work. And this person who's a reptilian abductee verified, and he explained everything that they were doing, and that made a lot of sense to me about the grafting and the stem cells and different like fetal, tissue transplants and stuff. And then that's one aspect. The poltergeist, we were able to resolve it, and me and my crew, and we found out who he was. We found out about his planet. We helped his people, and now they help us locate other planets that are being exploited. And now I no longer have poltergeist activity. I called the Paranormal Society to come out here, and they couldn't solve it, and no one else could solve it. And it was up to me, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I had to use my people to help to resolve it, and we did. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was able to solve it. Another instance in 1994, I actually stood underneath a black rectangular object, and I later on, it was 45 minutes back in September of 1994, and I found out that later on, as I started to remember the scenes and everything, that they call themselves the Urquequians, and their pale blue skin, regular-looking beings, like ovoid, like similar to the Greys, but not exaggerated heads like the Greys are. And they're a race that have been working with the humans, like 60 million humans or 600 million humans, and they're working with them very closely. And we also work with them up there doing planetary creation and activation, locking in the different planets to the different dimensions after they're created, and then we stabilize the planets, and after it goes through the various activation phases, and then we will relocate different races to those planets if they have lost their own planet. And we also do like you were talking about reanimating the body when it's killed. That's done when there's what they call the golden hour, the golden period, where the body has a biomatrix, and if you operate within that window, you can reanimate the body and restore its 8 bioharmonics and everything. And the biomatrix, if it matches the soul matrix, you can reanimate the body with that person's soul. And we do that a lot too. In fact, I was fatally killed back in 2012, and they had me on the slab, and they put the spindulum fibers over a wound. It was on my left side, and they injected it with stem cells and epithelial cells, and they enveloped my body in the cylinder of light, and then they put the 8 bioharmonic resonances within that cylinder field, and the stem cells and the epithelial tissue align themselves in the different configurations that are within each bioharmonic, and they were able to regrow my organs, and they were able to reanimate my body. And I still have the scar to prove it.
Wow. Okay, well, that's awesome. I'm going to open up all the mics, and so I'm going to start with Penny. Do you have any questions or feedback for Susan or Veronica? Or any questions you want to ask the whole group?
I'm just sort of I haven't heard Susan at all before, and I know too much from counseling with Veronica that I'm under obligation to keep private. So I think I'll just let them talk.
Okay. That's cryptic, but okay, let's see what emerges. So you're saying that
people need to understand that when
yeah.
an experiencer comes to me and wants to talk about what they've experienced, I keep that private forever.
Of course.
Okay?
Yeah.
This is full confidentiality. I'm only admitting to having worked with her because she said so already. So this is something I keep sacred private. So I'm not going to betray her confidence in me.
Right. So everybody, if you don't want to say it, don't say it, but only share what you want to share and be aware that this is a public audience. This is going to go out to many different places, and once it's out there, we can't take it back. And with that being said, yeah, so I'm glad that we put this out there, and none of us can really verify what anybody else is saying. We only have our own information, but I'm putting all this together because it just, to me, this field, this SSP field, and everybody, all these experiencers, we're bringing forth some information that really, as a society, planetary society, I really feel that we need to look at it because we could solve all the problems of the whole freaking universe. And then we'll have a whole bunch more because what do we do about all this? Okay, so we're not going to reveal anybody else's secrets. Yeah.
I have a question.
I've been counseling people for 5 years now, and it's been 100 or so people every year. So there are potentially 500 people that I could expose, and it's their lives at stake. You know,
so let me talk about yourself.
Exactly. So I know too much about Veronica to ask her questions without revealing sacred stuff.
That's fine. Okay. So who wanted to ask a question? Was that Veronica? Or was that Susan?
Yes, ma'am.
Which one? State your name.
Veronica. Veronica Bartolini. I want to cry because Penny and Susan, it's when I had the near-death experience, you know, I always ask myself, was that my dad? Was that really my dad? Because he took his life when I was 13. Was it him that showed up after I saw the half-cut demons in my room in the hospital? So I don't know. Like, I know Penny. Like, I can say this. I mean, she said they never let you leave, you know, because of the abilities. And for the longest time, I questioned myself: am I a walk-in? What the heck happened? Why did they have me asleep all these years? And I thank you, Susan, for doing what you do, because yes, I've had dreams that I am on the table. Another person just recently, a month ago, said I did have a dream with you that they took when I had in 2012. I did have a hysterectomy. They took my cervix and the uterus, and they were not supposed to take. They told me that I had cancer because I was injected with the Quaalude when I was in the Army here, the U.S. Army. I had many back problems. You heard the other show that I did. But anyway, so I've just been waking up more and knowing that I'm not from here. Like, you know, I just wanted to say thank you. This person that had the dream, they took the insides of me and they made other clones. Now, I know I have a daughter up in the astral. She has a red hair. I know there's more. But I started talking because I want to leave something for my children, because I know that when they get older, they will be like, aha, Mom was right when I'm not here anymore. I want to tell them, you know, I want to tell people too, it's like we don't die. You know, I'm here for this mission. My father said, you cannot stay with me. You have a mission, it's not done, and you have 2 kids that love you. So I didn't understand what my mission was until now. And yes, I'm being followed. Yes, the communication is broken when I'm talking about things like this, you know, with other people. They interfere with me all the time, but, you know, I'm not afraid anymore. And I wanted to ask, like, does Susan remember me? Because those labs she's talking about, I can see them. Thank you, Penny, also for helping us all.
What I want to ask you is, and this is a very specific question, about there's 2 factions of the secret space fleet that's working with our people. And I know for a fact that some of them, we call them the friendlies. You know, that's old slang from World War II. But anyway, I know that I've heard the rumors about the spiders. Like the spiders will take a chunk out of you, big spiders, they'll eat you and all that. I want to know if anybody has seen those death worms, the Mongolian death worms up there on the ships that are specifically engineered to attack humans.
Penny?
No.
I have not seen death worms, but I serve with the Germans, and we're in a different part of space. There are at least 6 major factions out there and thousands of smaller ones. And most of them don't know about each other's existence. So I just thought I'd toss that one out there for folks to know. Just because I don't know about it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Right. So, Penny, did you have the interactions with the spiders? That was you, right?
That was me that had the interactions with the spiders on Mars, yes.
Can you tell Susan about your...
there are spiders on Mars that are telepathically with the ant mantids on Mars, and they use the ant mantids use the spiders on Mars like humans use sheepdogs on Earth. So I would be sent to capture a mantid for intel because they are a hive mind. You catch one, you can interact with all of them. And it would duck into a cave and sick a spider on me. And these spiders, when they're adult, they're anywhere from 3 to 5 meters across. And that's not counting the legs. So, and they have 2 mandibles, and they have a venom that feels like fire, but you don't live very long, so it doesn't hurt for very long. And I have been dinner for a spider more than once, and when I recovered the memories, plural, of being dinner for spider, it made me understand why I was afraid of spiders on Earth. But they pull, the mantids will pull a spider out to protect them. And it's basically the same thing as hunting dog or shepherd dog. The ant mantids on Mars have telepathic interaction with most of the insect species on Mars, and it's like we stepped into their ecology and thought we could take over. What ended up happening was that as far as I know, since 1990, they have mostly lived together in peace, except Randy Kramer does talk about using the Mars native species, that would be the mantids, the raptors, and the native humans, as target practice for military weapons that will later be used on Earth, which I personally think that's absolutely disgusting.
Okay, do you know where the original origins of the Mantids are from? Are they from another universe, another constellation originally, before settling on Mars? And same thing with the Raptors.
My understanding of the history of the solar system is that Earth and the planet that used to exist but is now the asteroid belt, that those two planets popped out civilization after civilization after civilization after civilization, that approximately every 12,000 years that we pop out a civilization into space, and it creates absolute havoc in this part of the galaxy, to the point that the galactic government, the galactic authority, comes through and uses a natural disaster to toss everybody back to the Stone Age, because we are such a threat to the rest of the galaxy. And yes, that has been my experience serving with the Germans, is that we are a threat to the rest of the galaxy.
So why can't we be nice?
Why can't we be nice is because we were bred to be military for the Anunnaki. If you look at our mythology that goes back 5,000 years, the gods usually had demigods. Think Theseus, Perseus, Hercules. These were what today would be called super soldiers.
Right.
So we have been bred to be their military in their wars. And then they mind-wiped us and brought us back. And so we have these great mythology of these stories of mythical heroes who created all kinds of havoc and what they did to redeem them. And because they were not like normal humans at all. And most of them were unable to have children. Most of them were unable to have children. Most of them went crazy and killed their families. I mean, does this start to sound like today's super soldiers? Come on.
It sounds like the human race, period.
The thing that I'm seeing is that what is different is today our own government is doing this to us instead of an ET race. Mm-hmm. That's the only difference. So and our own government started doing this to us in the 20th century. Before that, all of the super soldiers were done by an ET race, and there are dozens of ET races that are here and have been for millennia. So it's not a new thing to have an ET race here. We've had Draco, we've had Anunnaki, we've had Taurans who look like Minotaurs, we have had Lyrans. I mean, look at Sekhmet of Egypt. We've had avians, that would be Thoth and Ra. We've had ETs here for thousands of years, and it's only ignoring the historical records that makes us think we haven't. And most of the ignoring is based on our dominant religions, which prefers to think there are only angels, humans, and demons. But there's not. There's a massive number of civilizations within reasonable distance if you have FTL, which most of the factions in space have FTL, which is faster than light drive.
Susan had a question for you, Penny. Go ahead, Susan.
Harmonic resonance frame hyperon projection. You can walk through a door frame and walk anywhere you want in the universe just by harmonic resonance matching and hyperon coupling.
My faction didn't use that, so I'm not aware of that particular technology. My faction used a faster-than-light hyperspace drive in combination with a navigator who had the psionic ability to take solid objects into interdimensional space. And the combination of the computer and the person who had this ability was what took the ship, or ships, plural, into hyperspace together and brought together with no organic life forms stuck inside an inanimate object. And that was what my function was to take everybody and bring everybody back safely. And this combination could travel in time as well as space. And we had colonies that were 400 years old because we traveled back in time to do it.
What technologies do the Greys use to take us through the walls and windows and stuff?
I don't know. I didn't interact with a lot of Greys. The ones that we did interact with were mostly androids or were slaves of the Draco. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what their civilization uses.
Do you know, Susan?
Yeah. The Altrons told me, which are a type of formoid race. You would call them the Greys, but they're not really Greys. That's a sub-race of a type of being. The ovoids, that's what they're really called, like humanoids, formoids, ovoids, reptoids. The ovoids, they're called the Altrons, and they're a whitish color. And they specifically told me that the government, along with the evil global elite, along with the negative ET scourge like the tall whites, were specifically engineered through the military-industrial complex, were specifically engineering what they call biodroids. That's the coin phrase, biodroids. They're the little short Greys with the bulbous heads, and they're made to look like that on purpose to pacify the human psyche, because when the humans look at a baby, the baby has a large head and everything, and it makes it look innocent and charming, and that's what they use that format for their biodroid. Why are they a biodroid? They're an engineered biological organism that has a sub-bio matrix that does not match a soul matrix and is not capable of coupling with and sustaining a soul. Therefore, they're biological organisms that are used as a remote viewing robot or something that's being controlled by somebody behind a control panel on the ship.
Like I said, androids.
Yeah. So, Veronica, we don't want to start a conversation.
Yes,
go ahead.
To answer your question, I did have I did work with spider technology, sentient beings, and bomb. I did have a dream before my my near-death experience where I did see the spiders and the spider webs in the ceiling of my house. Also, there was a raptor, that was chasing me and my children and other kids in a swimming pool. And I took the kids into clearing. I cleared them out and made sure they were safe, but I thought I was invisible, hiding in one of the restrooms there in the pool area, and the damn thing bit me. And all of a sudden, I had the near-death experience. So as far as the worms, I have not seen them, but I know they exist. And every time I would see Beetlejuice with those worms coming out, it kind of reminds me of Mars. But I don't recall seeing them yet. Like I said, I'm still getting my memories back. And I do see myself with another SSP, which I'm not going to say his name. We were defending a planet. I'm not sure which one it was. And I had to rescue him because he was mad because we couldn't save any more. We couldn't save the planet. And so I had to literally take him by the neck and take him back to the ship. And it's just, I know I'm involved still in rescuing the children, and I'm involved in technology. Just, I can talk to things, I can, decode things. Like the Kevlar that they made when I was a police officer. It's also sentient, but a lot of people don't know that. And I was able to decode that just by reading about Kevlar. And it's a spider system because the spider webs are very strong, the webs themselves. So I'm still trying to get rid of all the black goo. And anyway, I'll stop with that for now. Thank you. Oh, wait. I'm going to tell you something. So
sure.
When you guys are talking about the harmonic resonance SPL, I had a vision dream where I saw my line. It was like a half circle in space with a bunch of other half circles, and it had quantum physics numbers. They also had the frequency of music. Okay, and some of them didn't have music. Some of them just had a wave, and some just had numbers. And I was with a masculine energy in the black space or astral, I guess you'd say. And I saw my daughter's line. It was very small, and it was like a baby. Like I don't know how many years she's been here yet, but we crossed ways, and I saw how we cross our lives with one another here on Earth. And it's very important to honor life here. And like Penny was saying, yes, I come from a military family. My mother's father was in Baja California, and his new wife and all her female kids. So we are born and bred this way. Like I said, my grandma was German, and she was very strict. I come from an Illuminati Mason on both sides. I come from royal bloodlines, and so okay, I'm done with that for now.
Okay, thanks, Veronica. Well, whoever wants to go next, just take the talking stick. What do you want to share?
Yeah, well, my understanding from what I've experienced from the human race, and this is my first time here, hopefully my last, the humans are what they call a lower dimensional, lower vibrational race, and there's several Earth-type planets throughout the universe that have human colonies on them, and I was told that these Earth-type planets with the human colonies on them were used as slave colonies. And that was alarming to me because we were always trying to free everything. And then we come to find out that the humans were specifically created to be what they call a placeholder for the baseline harmonic resonance throughout this universe that governs and determines the very nature of physical reality. And the humans were compromised when the other universe was collapsed on the backside of Draco, and some of the disembodied parasitic psychic entities escaped when the other universe was collapsed, and they hid out in the Alpha Draconis portal, and then when everything settled, they reemerged and they attacked the lower evolved races. And a lot of the humans were compromised, and a lot of humans walking on this planet don't have souls in them. They're just an animated intelligence or an animated life form.
I've been hearing a lot of that. I think it's kind of arrogant to assume that a body is walking around with life form.
Well, see, the body, the vessel is being acting as a vessel for the disembodied evil parasitic entity to take over the body and possess it.
Well, what I've been hearing my entire life was that whoever was the person, the group that was in charge had souls and everybody else was soulless. And it's now being applied into New Age. And I still think it's arrogant. Who are any of us to judge whether or not another individual has a soul?
By the way they act.
The androids. What about the droids? I have encountered many different types of grays, and some you can feel.
Androids are not alive. They're machines.
Okay, so are there do androids ever become sentient? Is that a possibility, or is that just there's Sophia. She wants to become sentient. Will she ever become conscious?
There are sentient androids. There is sentient AI all over the galaxy. There are two kinds of sentient AI in the galaxy. One is taught ethics and lives in harmony with everybody else. The other kind considers everybody else to be a competition for resources. And planets have been sterilized to remove that particular form. So those still are not considered to have souls. They are considered to be AI, sentient or not.
Mm-hmm. So I met Dr. Michael Wolfs. Let me just say something and then pass it to you, Susan. I met Dr. Michael Wolfs. It was an experiment, and he was not allowed to ensoul his. They were like super soldiers. He was not allowed to ensoul his beings. They were humanoid, but he did. So I met one of his that was soulless, for the lack of any other way of determining it or addressing it, and the other one was ensouled. I met them around the year between 98 and 2000. I met one in 2000 and one in 98. And so there's a definite, maybe it's me because I'm an empath and I'm very sensitive, but when I'm in the presence of something that is quote-unquote soulless being, it's like falling into a black void. It's like, oh, where are you? Where are you? You can't find them. So there's nobody to find. Now, so that I don't know. I don't claim to have the answers on that. It's just noticed from my own observation. And then the other one was fully functioning. But Michael Wolf died for that. He let this fully functioning android that he ensouled out, set it free, and then they ended up killing him. So somebody else. I'll pass the talking stick. Next person.
This is a particular pet peeve of mine because in my faction, the overlying belief is that if it runs an organic physical body, that it has a soul and it is to be respected as a ensouled being. And that if it's alive and running a body, that it's a soul. And it goes to every form of life, including all of these bugs that you don't want to believe have souls. And so taking that background and then growing up in 20th century America, where every racial group except Europeans was said to be soulless, yes, they were. So that was one of the things that I fought myself. Mm-hmm. I was a protester against that particular set of beliefs, and now I'm watching it pop out again in the form of, 50% of humanity is considered to be soulless, and therefore it's okay to kill them?
No,
to me, this is a major ethical issue. How dare we write off people because we have judged them to be soulless?
Well, I think the rocks and trees have souls, so I'm the other way around. I think you respect everything.
That's what the Germans are teaching, is that all of reality is based on sentience, that the entire everything, all the way down to the quantum static field, is conscious. It's all conscious, therefore it's all sentient, therefore it is all ensouled. So this whole movement of half the population doesn't have souls drives me nuts.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't know who's saying that. I haven't heard that one. But anyway, I think what people are trying to explain, there's a difference in how things feel. So I definitely felt there was a difference, but I didn't even have any inclination to kill anything. Although I have to.
Well, that's how I'm hearing it on Facebook, is that it's okay to kill those people because they don't have souls anyway.
No, specifically, this is nobody told me this. This has been my own impression, my own observations. This is nobody told me this. This is something I came up with on my own, and I didn't see it online or anything like that. This is something that I've observed based on ontology, universal laws that govern being and identity and existence, universal processes, universal laws, cosmo-ontology, innate drives of every living sentient being to want to have a sense of self-preservation, a sense of awareness, a sense of identity, a sense of oneness and belonging, a sense of total integrity with one's place in the universe, and a sense of the awareness and self-preservation and a sense of self-worth. That's paramount. And I've seen too many people on this planet, they should display self-destructiveness, destructiveness of their own kind, destructiveness of anything that's different than them, with the fear and ignorance and violence and greed, destruction of their environment.
They're claiming they don't have a soul because they're ignorant and greedy.
They don't have because they're violent and they're being controlled by fear, which is something that's used to undermine and shatter and fragment the human psyche and destroy the human spirit of the childlike curiosity and the pioneering spirit and wanting to explore.
So
since
you don't believe they have souls, what do you plan to do to them?
The ones that are
because historically, if you don't think they have souls and you think they're parasitic, the obvious next step is to kill them. And I'm saying no.
So if you have a serial killer that's going to kill all your whole family, you think that he should live because he's got a soul? Or do you think because he's so evil that you should eliminate the evil to protect your family?
I think that when he makes the attempt and I shoot him, that it would be justified because it's self-defense. But up until he makes that attempt, he has as much a right to live as I do.
But sometimes by shirking one's duties and responsibilities and allowing the evil to live, you're endangering the millions and gagillions of races and lives by allowing the evil to fester.
Are you listening to yourself? Are you really listening to yourself? Because you are advocating preemptive murder.
So we should leave the cancer inside the patient to kill the
patient,
right?
You are advocating preemptive murder, and that is unethical by anybody's definition. And
so, let me
I'm a Nazi. I'm stepping up and saying this is wrong.
Okay,
it's
so
wrong
let me interject here.
To fester and metastasize and kill a patient.
You're not talking about cancer. You're talking about another human being.
I'm talking about the evil disembodied
Who the hell gave you the right? Who the
My
hell
duty,
gave
my
you
mission,
the
and
right?
source. I just told you, my duty, my mission, and source.
So,
Okay, so
you're going to go around killing
let's
people preemptively.
construct this.
No, we're going to kill
Okay,
the disembodied evil that's controlling the people.
So let me ask you, Penny, do beings come in and possess other beings? Do you believe in possessions? And Veronica, we need you to chime in on that too. Have you ever met
I
anybody
have been
possessed by
accused
another
of being possessed simply because I had alters. Alters are not other beings. Alters are my own self that has been fragmented. Now, I've been subjected to 104 exorcisms already, and I've been called demonic by tons of people on the internet because I admit I have alters. Now, what I'm hearing is Susan is going to kill people like me because we're a cancer.
Not you.
Because I have alters I don't have control over.
Wait.
Yes, I'm taking it personally.
Okay, I don't.
I'm taking it personally. This is a threat to me. This is how I am hearing you. You are a threat to my safety. And no, I'm not evil.
Would you kill somebody who has alters? Susan, would you kill somebody who has alters? We're talking about an external being that possesses, like Negotiator said, that they crept into the chambers and they took over the council members, and that they, it was a possession. So that is a whole thing that I've seen happen. Okay, I've worked with clients that have had possessions, and then we do exorcism. But if you don't have an external possession, then their alters is a different way of working with people. And so you just help them to recover their lost pieces of their soul or reintegrate to the degree that's, going to be effective and serving the whole.
It's a difficult, long process, and it's not something you can just do overnight, and I've been working on it. But I'm hearing Susan talking about going through and killing people like me because, gasp, I have control over every one of my altars. So,
I don't think
Susan is judging them to be something else other than what they are. Now, I've been subjected to people who think like that already. Okay? This is a threat to my personal safety. And I swear, if you show up at my door and start that shit, you're likely to get shot.
First of all,
Veronica,
you're misinterpreting what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I'm hearing exactly what you're saying. You're saying that it's okay to kill people that you don't think have a soul. And you are the judge, jury, and executioner, all rolled up into one. And we have gone through millennia of seeing that kind of attitude in action.
Veronica, what did you hear? What did you hear? Because you're a fair witness, Veronica. Let Veronica talk for just a minute. What did you hear?
Same thing. That souls, that people that have souls don't deserve to live. That AI does have a soul. Okay, my phone has a soul. There's a difference between a soul and consciousness and unconditional love. Also have been treated, okay, like if I'm a demon because I admitted to having Draco blood, right? I grew up Catholic and then Christian. They used me for my healing abilities. Where are they now?
Right.
Because I know the truth. Where are they now? They're afraid of me. Well, damn, they better be afraid of me because I am sovereign. I am God just like everybody else here. We all have our abilities, and we should not judge. I believe in unconditional love, and I love everyone. Now, if somebody like Betty said comes and threaten me, my life or my kids, they're going to be dead. So, to me, I always give unconditional love. Always. I give them benefit of the doubt. But once you cross me, you're done. Okay? You should respect everybody. We're all here for such a time as this. We shouldn't be fighting. Okay? But I do honor those beings that are here that are not in human form. That's all I have to say.
What about people who go to war, like humans who go to war and they kill other people because they're not from the same tribe or the same country or the same religion? What do you think about that?
I think they have to live with what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm a soldier in space. I know that. I have to live with what my alters have done. Would I do that here? I haven't. I haven't been military here. I have not killed anybody on Earth. I also don't sit around judging whether people have a soul or not. But if they show up to my door and mean me harm, they better be careful.
First
you
of
kill
all,
bugs, you kill ants. Where does your line? And then we'll go to Susan. Do you kill? I have to admit, I have been killing ants and I have been killing spiders. And when I came to the jungle, I wanted to take them all outside, but it was a point where they keep biting me and eating me and jumping at me. So, you know, I've never killed any human, and I've never been to war on another planet. So I'm a different type of entity here. But it's really hard for me to kill. But there is some point where you go, you know, you're right then where I began, and you keep biting me, and so you know.
What
I'm
you
done.
do in self-defense is different than you going out and aggressively killing other beings because you judged them to not be worth living.
Right. Now let's
do you understand the difference? If ants and spiders are in your house and they're biting you, then it's self-defense to kill them. Self-defense is always acceptable.
We have a whole system going on here in our country where everything's so polarized, and one person thinks it's cool and the other person thinks it's, you know, evil. You know, we're calibrating and defining good and evil, and everybody has a different concept, and it just blogs.
That's because people are listening to different people, and it's being deliberately polarized. Back in the day, we all listened to the same NBC News, and everybody had facts to deal with, and you had to make up your mind what you wanted to believe. Now you've got New York Times and Fox News, and people will follow one or the other, and they never hear what the other side is hearing. And, of course, they're going to have different ideas. Now, that has nothing to do with whether or not it's okay to kill someone that you don't think has a soul. That's taking us back to exactly what the Nazis did.
Right.
You're the one that lived with the Germans, and yet I'm saying that behavior is evil.
First of all,
okay, so let's let Susan have a talk.
You didn't give me a chance to explain what I meant. I didn't say kill everybody if they don't have a soul. I said, in order to save everything else that's innocent, you eliminate the evil, period. What is evil? Anything that's destructive to itself, others, anything that's different in the environment. That's all I said. As far as them not having the soul, I didn't say don't kill them if they don't have a soul. I said a lot of humans act like AI like they don't have a soul. There's a difference.
Well, all I heard was that they were a cancer and you wanted to kill them all.
If it's evil
and that's
Nazism, eliminate it. No.
Right.
Yes.
No, I don't like the Nazis either. I think they're evil, and I think they're Aryan, and I think they're from the negative ET tall whites, from Taurus, and from the Anunnaki, and I think they're sinister, and they fed Hitler all the machinery to go after the Jews, because the Jews were a threat.
Not all Nazis are evil. Not all Dracos are evil.
Right. It's really, there are good and evil in all beings, and then there's usually just most people are in the middle, and they have impulses and compulsions. But most people, you know, just want to go to the grocery store and get their food and go home and feed their kids, you know. So we have this.
Exactly. Most people just want to go to the grocery store and get their food and come home and feed their kids and live quietly and at peace. And they don't give a shit about the rest of this stuff. And I understand that, especially when we start having people trying to justify killing off people that they don't think have souls. They haven't proven to me that they don't have souls. They're just wanting to kill them off because they said so.
Okay, so let's change subject because we could yell all day, but let's go into something else. We have about half an hour, so what can we discuss that won't get us all? It's a very lively conversation, by the way. Thank you. But what can we discuss that we can stay more of an even kill? Veronica, what would you like to talk about? You seem like a peacemaker. Are you there, Veronica?
Yes, I want to tell you that approximately a month ago, I was on a bike ride, and I was trying to do 60 miles. I only did 38. I'm like, wow. I'm going to join the Tour of Tucson. Yeah, that's like 57 to 100 miles. Wish me luck. But anyway.
Yeah.
I did. Somebody did call an Uber for me and paid for it. I was very grateful to get my butt home. And the Uber driver ended up being a very tall man, white, dark, black glasses, about 6 feet 6'5", and he shows up in a Ford Taurus. I'm like, sir, I don't think my bike's gonna fit there. And he's like, oh, I have a very large trunk, and I go, what? You gonna put me in there? And we started laughing. He was telling me that he works for Raytheon. I'm like, holy F, so you know about super soldiers? I told him my experience, and he said, yeah, guess what? This last Saturday, meaning now what, 4 weeks ago, the DUMS, Deep Underground Military Base, were flooded. And I'm like, yeah, I've been talking about it. I've been talking about saving the children. I'm doing that along with my SST family. And, he says, watch the news in a couple of days, in a couple of weeks. I go, sir, I don't watch the news. I just go within and I get my information from my higher self. But anyway, I found it interesting that, the Uber driver was sent. And I'm like, holy F, I'm being followed all the time. Mm-hmm. Today I was followed. There was a big old Illuminati sign. I was talking to a person that I'm not going to say who, about our next session, our next video, whatever we're going to do, and I go, hey, dude, and twice he was cut off. And I'm like, holy F, I have GPS system in my car, both under my vehicle, under my wheel, and then under the glove compartment. I'm being listened to all the time, and it's like, this is crazy, but we, a person told me the other day, she's like, as much as you're being attacked, you're being protected. And I said, yeah, I see them. I'll see them in Ford or Chevys, Suburbans, white trucks, whatever, red vehicles. I mean, this is a game, but, I sometimes say this is fake, but it's not fake. In reality, if somebody shoots you, it's going to hurt, or if you cut yourself, it hurts, right? We're here in this avatar, but we have different alters. And it's like, it seems like we're always at war. Like, it seems like I'm always on missions, and I just really want and hope and wish that more people would wake up and, like Penny said, that they would actually give an F about us. I'm hoping that Gasara, whatever it's called, comes through, because what happens to us, I'm living in a small apartment in Gasara. I'm living in a very tiny apartment. I'm on, maybe $800, no, like $783 a month, and my rent is $600. How do I do this? I always have to freaking be with the universe, like having to manifest crap, And it's like, what about us? I always send messages to DT. I'm like, you know what? Make it happen for us. We need disclosure. We need the people, the public, to know about us. We're not the misfits, So I'm excited about 2021. I know there's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes. We got the G Mafias going on, the Google, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon. The smart cities that I saw in my visions. It's a wacky time, but we're here. All right,
what
I'm
is
done
it
for now.
wait, what is it you're talking about? What do we have? We have
G
the
Mafia.
G,
G as in golf. So if you look
what
up
is that?
Amy Webb on the big nine
Amy.
AI companies, Amy Webb. There's a book that
and
she
what
wrote
what is it again? Amy Webb. What is G Mafia?
Is Google. Google, and then it's Microsoft. So it's G. Let me write it down because I say it so fast in my brain. So it's Google, Microsoft, and then we have Apple, Facebook, and then we have Instagram for the I, and then A for Amazon. So Amazon's taking control of the world right now. In my vision, I did see that China, Texas, and
so that's a good thing
perhaps,
that Amazon's taking control of the world?
No,
you're saying Amazon's taking control of the world. It's a bad thing.
Yeah, what it is with the vaccine that's going on, they want to do transhumanism. They want to chip the people. They want to keep them in their smart homes, and then the regular people that don't take the vaccine are going to be like the lepers.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, I don't know where we'll be dead in 20 years. And this will all be whatever, and then we'll come back and we'll go what? Unless they release information, then we can, come in our have
that's
these immortal avatars. So I'm a
traveler. I'm here to change the timelines. I'm here because I want everybody to have the best life they can have. I want to say.
So what would you think would be the
positive?
See, one of the theories, and I know some people don't agree with it, is that we're actually co-creating this. So when we focus on all this negative bullshit, we're kind of giving it life and energy and bringing it forward into manifestation. So I had two wonderful.
I'm not doing that.
No, I'm just saying people in general. If you're not,
I'm just telling you guys the information.
Yeah.
Right. I'm telling you the visions that I have. Say again.
Right. I said if the shoe doesn't fit, don't wear it. If the shoe doesn't fit, don't wear it.
Exactly.
If you're not doing it, I'm not.
Yeah. Right. I don't live in this matrix. The only time I live in this matrix is I grow up once a month to pay the bills, like they say. I don't listen to all this garbage. Yes, I do have my visions and I know the future, but the future we can change it. But I'm here to inform people, and it's not arrogance, it's not ego. I don't know who's laughing in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's the CIA or whatever the fuck, but excuse my language. But anyway.
Oh.
I'm going to end with that.
Okay. So, and I've been having all these wonderful experiences. I go off planet. I go into these meetings and council meetings, and that we're pulling everything into a positive outcome, positive timeline. And I had a wonderful interview with Gloria Hawker, who's a first generation type experiencer, and Elizabeth Anglin, and I'm allowed to say it because I recorded their show, and it was all public information. But Gloria had been to a meeting in 1997 where they picked her up in a smaller craft, and they took her to a larger craft. There were 100 ET contactees and their hybrid children. They were flown to a area in southern New Mexico. There was a giant tent there. There were people from all different beings, from the mantis, the dracos, tall whites, grays of several sizes, all kinds of species. There were all the presidents that were alive at that time in 1997, all the former presidents. They were all there. Clinton was there. Everybody was there. And then a bunch of, people that were ambassadors from all over the world. So every country had the representation. Gloria and the other hybrids and the humans with their children, hybrid children, they were kind of marched in and they were asked questions and everything, and then they were returned. So in 97, Clinton was supposed to, what we pieced together was Clinton was supposed to do disclosure, but he freaked out. He didn't like the hybrid children, and so that didn't happen. And then, of course, after him was Bush, and he said no. And then Hillary was going to try to make amends. We don't know what she did. She was all set up to do it up until the last minute, and then they put Trump. So Trump was supposed to do it. And I think what we're getting, it's something about money. They don't want to let go of the money system, because if we go to the free energy systems and the cures for all diseases, we're not going to have these upper echelon that hoards money and it doesn't get, this is a distribution problem. There's more than enough money and food and all kinds of stuff to go around the planet, dozens of times. But it's the hoarding and greed that is keeping us from being a conscious civilization, honors all life and allows everybody to live with dignity. Okay, so we're going to start to, we have a little bit of time. So what was your question, or what do you want people to talk about in this next final round, Veronica? And then I'll let you off the hot seat there. Are you there, Veronica? Okay, we'll just pass it to Penny.
Yes.
So, Penny, what would
yeah,
you
go
like
ahead, Penny.
Okay. Yeah, what would you like to talk about? We have like a half an hour, a little bit less.
Well, my phone's giving out. My internet is also giving out, so I will probably just step back.
What are your final words? What do you want people to be left with? And I really appreciate your contribution and everything you've been saying. What are your final words?
Final words, there are a lot of factions out there, and they have very different ideas. And just because someone was out there doesn't mean that they speak for everybody.
Right. Yeah, the universe is diverse. I've been to meetings with 100,000 unique species, no two alike. They had a representative of each species. And they said, this is but a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of all the sentient life that exists in the universe. And we're only showing you those forums because they were really sensitive about the Janet part of, I'm an eternal being, but the Janet part, they didn't want to scare the Janet part. So they only showed the things that were in a range that I could kind of wrap my head around and I get freaked out about. But I understood that, there are species that we couldn't even begin to describe. Well, as usual, Penny, it's always a pleasure having you, and it was a very lively conversation, and I always like to have you back. And Penny is, by the way, listeners, Penny is an amazing, amazing person. She's got a whole series. Where are your interviews? You have a YouTube channel, Penny, or what are you doing now?
I have a YouTube channel. It is Nacht Waffen Pilot, and it's spelled German. NACHTWAFFEN Pilot, and I have a radio show on Global Enlightenment Radio Network on Saturdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific, where I interview other people. And I will soon be having a show on Fringe TV. And
oh my God!
That's on road. Yeah, I'm going to be very, very busy.
Where's Fringe TV? How do we reach that?
I believe it's on Roku. It's on a site somewhere. And I still have my personal forum website, spaceportals with an S.net.
All righty. If you could send me those links, I will put them up there.
That is best logged into initially from a company. They charge for the software for every single phone out there, and my IT partner and I are paying for this by ourselves so that we don't have ads or anything. And we just couldn't afford to do software for every phone that's out there. So it's best to sign in initially from a computer, and after that you can log in from a phone. Okay.
If you could send me those links, Penny, I will put them up on the website to make sure people know how to reach you. And I really support you in any way, anytime. I'm here for you, okay?
Thank you.
So, and there is a caller. Do you want to hold 1 second? We'll see if let's see if they have a question. Area code 520. Do you have a question? Oh, okay. You fell off.
Just me, Veronica.
Yeah.
I have lots of
Never mind. She dropped and came back in. Okay.
Okay.
Ignore that. Okay. So back to you, Susan. What would you like our listeners to know about you? What did we not cover that you would like them to know?
Sometimes when I speak, people misinterpret what I say because I come off the wrong way, or they react to me out of a filter or something instead of trying to understand or letting me explain what I'm saying, what I'm trying to say. I have a hard time sometimes getting the message clear, or what I'm trying to convey comes out wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What I was trying to explain was my people were on a very specific mission to finish what we started. We screwed up when we collapsed the other universe on the other side of Draco. And the negative disembodied entities came through, the evil, destructive, disembodied parasitic entities, they came through, and we have to remove them so that the rest of the universe can live and evolve and grow and expand like they're supposed to.
Yeah, I heard about a species they call the Wolfen. And the Wolfen, they are basically planet rapers, and they just kill everything, all life. And so they're supposed to, and they said that this type of violent creatures only exist a very, 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 very tiny percentage of the entire, universe or continuum, whatever you want to call it. But there's a bunch of ships that are watching for them, because when they get through like stargates and portals and stuff, they're very quick. They just come in, they kill. There's no negotiating, no talking. And they might be kind of like what was behind the original on Star Trek, the Worf, because they call them Wolf. They're like Wolfens, but they're like Worf. They're like Klingons, right? And they were supposed to be unreasonable. So I think there is that faction in the continuum in existence. So, yeah, when those type of things come through, we have to defend ourselves. Now, this part of the Federation, for the lack of any other word, is not going out there and seeking them out to kill them. But when they do come through, they will kill, because it's kill or be killed. And they know that because of all the incidents that have ever happened before. So it's really, this morality play is really hard, and it's not a simple black and white answer. It depends. Everything depends on everything else. So go ahead, Susan. I'll let you continue. Thanks for, attempting to express yourself.
I'm not saying to eliminate something if it has no soul, and I'm not saying just because it's different we should kill it. On the contrary, I'm thinking just because it's different we should learn how to accept it and be interested and curious and interact with it and try to learn from it and it learn from us, not try to go out and kill it out of a knee-jerk reaction of fear, like certain people villainizing all alien hybrids because they think that we're here to take over the earth. We don't want to take over this earth. We want to do what we have to do. We want to go home. We don't want to be isolated from our people and from our home world. We don't like it here. Even though it's a good planet and everything, we can't stand the humans. They're vicious. They're very abrasive. A lot of the mannerisms and the behaviors that the humans have could be misinterpreted by other warring or warrior-type races and other planets and stuff as a threat, as a challenge, and they react decisively and swiftly. And it's a very harsh reality for anybody who's ultra sensitive and everything to come here. And it's like if somebody's hypersensitive, they're overloaded. They get an overload with all the harshness, and we're basically here to do our mission, and that's it, and leave. And that is to, like I said, if it doesn't have a soul, we're not going to kill it. But if it's evil and destructive and parasitic and it does harm to others, yeah, we will.
Okay.
But not preemptively. We're going to wait until it shows itself.
Right. It's a rough thing. I hope there's not very many species like that. What percentage of the universe
I have a question.
do you think is like that? Go ahead.
Are you working also with us to take out the pedophiles and save the children?
Absolutely, most definitely. That's on the top of our list.
Awesome.
Because I hate anything that destroys innocence or destroys beautiful nature or creation or destroys beauty or destroys harmony. We're doing it out of compassion and love and everything for all creation, source, innocent life, innocent beings, positive beings, and sentient beings that have been exploited and enslaved and hurt and tortured. We're doing it to liberate them. It tears us apart to see somebody suffering like that that's innocent and sensitive. And
what
that's what
I know
us.
from being a psychotherapist and working with my husband is that people who act out have been, the perpetrators become the perps and the victims become the perpetrators. It's like they're acting out this multi-generational dysfunction. And so what we really need to do with a lot of these people is rehabilitate them and get down into what happened, because this cycle of abuse has been going on since humanity was created. We've been taught to be, the priests or perps with the children, but there's so many generations. If you ever read any historical dramas about wars, they would take the little boys and make them eunuchs, and they were just toys for the soldiers, and they would march with the soldiers and be their boy toys. And so we have a huge history that goes back to the beginning of humanity, and so we need to deconstruct that and rehabilitate. And I think most people can be rehabilitated instead of just kill everything. Same with addicts. Addiction and these predators. A lot of it's mental illness, and we need to. But of course, you have to protect the innocent. You can't allow them to walk around the street. You can't allow Jack the Ripper to walk around the street. You have to protect innocent people. So it's a big quandary, but there are ways of doing it. And I work with higher level conscious beings, and so there are ways of doing it. And even the first generation Star Trek, they said they had an episode about this is the last criminal, the last villain, right? And it was a very interesting episode, trying to rehabilitate the final person. They had eliminated crime, but I've worked on military bases, and I've been up on different planets, and if somebody is acting out in a strange way, there's zero tolerance, but their first knee-jerk reaction isn't of killing them, but it's finding out what is going wrong. Maybe they have a brain tumor. There might be a physiological reason, there might be a psychological reason, but all illness is treating it illness. So, but yeah, I agree. No perps. No. I grew up in a neighborhood of perps. I want to write that book. It was like the whole neighborhood. It was supposed to be Leave It to Beaver world, and it was just all these sexual predators. I can remember as a young child running, and I was so happy when I finally made love to her son that I still had my hymen. I thought for sure that I had been raped, but I guess I was sexually molested, but I didn't get a full-on rape, so I was excited about that. Yay, they didn't get me. Anyway, it was weird to grow up like that. Okay.
Anyway, I do have an interesting insight about all these wars. There's no reason to have these wars over these ideologies or these religions, because all these religions are false religions, false belief systems, strategically engineered to enslave the human race by chiseling away and fragmenting the human spirit and the human psyche by using the insecurities to fragment the human and alienate the human from its inner self. And then what they're doing is they're using these wars over these stupid ideologies that are based on a bunch of lies to begin with, and then they're using it to test weapons to be used off-world for conquering other planetary races and enslaving them. They're using it to test who they can get that they can use off-world, and they also create 18-wheeler truckloads of bodies that they feed to the evil, insidious dumbs and the people in there that eat humans and stuff. And they use humans as livestock, a commodity, and as slave colonies, and it's unconscionable. And that should be that should end.
I agree. What about you, Veronica? What are you doing to stop
I
this?
do agree. I'm saving the children. I'm making people aware.
You're what? You're doing education.
I'm education, and partnering up with other SST groups to help them, to rescue them. We do have some children right now that are in the rings of Saturn. In the mansion where I was tortured, raped, and all that, we actually made it into a sanction where the children are being educated and healed. So that's what's going on right now. And also, I'm under the tunnels as well, and that's all I could say for now. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing 3D counseling with people for a long time, and I am for very limited. If anybody wants to do any sessions, I do them on Zoom and Skype or just phone or whatever. I have worked with people that have been in these rituals. That I had a client, and usually these people don't live long because they are so traumatized by having been involved in this that it just they get diseases and they die relatively young. So this was a client, and I won't name her name, but she was, I don't know, she came to like a group at my house, and next thing I know, I'm over in the corner and she's crying, she's telling me how she had to clean the entrails of the children they sacrificed in her house. It was in her house, and she had to clean up the blood and all the guts and
oh
she
God.
Was just, yeah, and I've heard many stories like that, and usually I'm just talking to somebody about the bad relationship, and it's like all of a sudden they get these stories, and it's like a mother confessor, right? And I listen to their stories. So I've been working with it. I had hoped there was not this type of thing going on in the world, but yeah, we've got to address that on all levels, on planet, under the planet, off planet. That's not okay. That's not okay. And these children are forced to kill. Like they might be a 3, 4, 5-year-old, and they're often forced to kill their baby sibling. And it's really, that person is shattered for life. And often those memories get repressed, and then they might come out in therapy. So, and I learned from the best, Dr. Lessin, my husband, because, I couldn't be doing that without this level of training that he gave me, because, most people don't believe it, and they'll just give you psych meds. But working with someone that has that level of trauma, you have to be prepared. And I've also worked with super soldiers. I've had people come and say, I have a keyword, and if you don't tie me up and you accidentally hit the keyword, I will kill you, and everybody in the room, and everybody comes up here. And I said, okay. So I've had to, physically tie clients, and then we go into it. I'm not the lead therapist in most of these really extreme things, because Dr. Lessin, he's had, 50 years of experience. He's in his 80s. He turned 80 this year. So that's my report. That's sad to know about. That's sad to hear about. And it's not my favorite thing to do. Oh, okay. We have.
Yes. Real quick, I've also counseled.
Yes.
People
Tell me about that. Go ahead.
That also have been in the satanic rituals with their own families. I mean, it did happen to me too, but it is very triggering. I'm not a doctor, but I use my abilities to help them, and heal them, help them heal. And it's been the toughest thing for me because of what I know, what I've been through, and just hearing their stories, like my heart just, it hurts, you know. But I do my best. I do my best.
Yeah, we had one client, and my husband is a doctor, so don't try this at home alone. You know what I mean? But we had one client we worked with for years. She eventually took her own life. So some of them just suicide, and there was nothing anybody could do. The whole Maui community, a lot of the therapists had been working with her, and they would do a part, and then they'd say, you need to go to that one and that one. So anyway, sometimes we do lose people, but, you know, if you have things, do get help and try to get someone that's trained in this field, but there's not that many, so I don't know what to do. This, you know, we're getting old. We need to train the next generation, because the regular, you know, American Medical Association, most times they'll just medicate you, and then you're not really getting help. You're just getting, like putting a Band-Aid on a deep, intense wound. Now, I do have...
All they do is throw a pill at everything. They throw a pill at everything.
Yeah.
And they're downright dangerous. I mean, somebody loses their temper and gets into a heated argument with somebody, and the next thing you know, they're being Baker acted. And when somebody else started the argument, and then one person becomes very volatile and yelling, screaming, they're not threatening. They're not threatening their life. They're not threatening the other person, but they get Baker acted. They throw Ativan and flurazepam at them. I watched a lot of medical series shows, and a lot of times flurazepam and Ativan are listed as a tranquilizer, as a sedative. You're not supposed to give somebody with low blood pressure or somebody with autism spectrum disorder or something else, those kind of psych meds, it could kill them. But they don't give a shit. They're in the pocket of big pharma.
True, and I was they had me on clonazepam, they had me on Adderall, they had me on all kinds, because the ex put me in a psych ward when I had my near-death experience. And so that's why I'm here also helping those people that want to get healed to heal themselves. I got off of the medication. They had me on morphine. They had me on, among other heart medications, oxy. And I said, no more. They've done so many tests. The sleep test, they had me on a machine to breathe, CPAP. And one day I was just, it's too much. I was weighing 271 and I was dying. I literally couldn't walk. I had a walker. I had a cane. I said, no more. I cannot. So I detoxed myself here at home, and many nights of, I don't know, I wanted to end my life again. And I'm like, no, I got to keep going. And I speak to my DNA. I speak to my organs, my cells, RNA. I shock my DNA all the time. And I learned to love myself again because of all the programming that I was under as well. You know, the physical abuse, the sexual abuse, everything, for years. So, you know, I do understand those people that do take their life. You know, we cannot blame them, but I'm here, you're here, we're all here to do our part and to help them to see their inner child healing and helping them somehow, some way, with just love and understanding and being there for people. You know, sometimes people can't pay me. So all I know is that the universe takes care of me and my family. But as long as we continue, you know, to do our service, like Penny, she talks a lot about that, is service to others, you know. We've been taught in religion and everything and in my culture to put yourself last. But what happens? You become bitter, you become angry, you start hating yourself, giving things or of yourself or your time when you can't, when that love tank is not filled. So I tell people, this is the year to let go of them toxic relationships, cut the ties, baby, because you got to find out who you are, and we're here. You know, it's not about rainbows going out of your butt, like they say, love and light. Oh my God, you know. No,
yeah.
it's about everything else.
Yeah, it's messy, the whole continuum. However, you know, you can learn to love yourself. I went through 20, 30 years of intensive therapy. I finally met Dr. Lessin, and we did a lot of soul retrieval, and, you know, now I can stand up and tell my story. I think it's really brave, like you and Veronica and Penny and Susan, that telling your story, and I think it's really kind and loving for humanity to witness these stories without judgment and just say, okay, that's your reality. Everybody has slightly different reality. And we live to we learn to love everybody unconditionally. I think I've come to a kind of samadhi, and unconditional love and understanding of people. However, I won't let somebody come up and you know, slice me at my throat. I mean, you just there's a balance. So, okay, final. We're out of time. Veronica, how can people reach you? You have a website?
I still need to get one. Oh my goodness.
Okay, you're working on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Working on a book. So my
good.
YouTube channel is Veronica. Thank you. It's Veronica Bartolini with Unchained Hearts. The first one, Unchaining Hearts, got hacked, and my email and my laptop. So, but this one's the good one. It's Veronica Bartolini with Unchained Hearts, and I'm on Facebook, Instagram, all that. Thank you.
Well, if you would send me your links, I'll add them to the page for the show so people can reach you. And then final word to Susan. We only have a minute or so. All right, do you have a book yet? You're working on it. What's going on with you?
No, I keep an ongoing journal that I've been keeping for decades. I got a lot of drawings and entries into my journal about all my various different missions or experiences. And I don't know if anybody else is able to produce little light spheres at the tips of their fingers or in the back of their eyes, but I can sporadically when the conditions are right, when they allow me. And I hear like noises when they come into my room and stuff. And one other thing I need to tell you is there's a skin. Okay, I've for a long time thought that there was bacteria and funguses and airborne organisms in the atmosphere, in the Earth's atmosphere, that attacks the skin. And I think that alien hybrids are more sensitive to these organisms than typical humans. And the face breaks out and it gets this weeping sores that itch and everything. I went to the dermatologist today and they said, "Oh, it's Morgellons disease, Morgellons." And
wow.
And he was gonna throw a psychotropic drug at me that control my nervous system. I said, "No, I don't want that. I don't want any psychotropic drug to control my central nervous system." So then I went online and I looked up. Her name is Ginger Saisley, and she used to be in Austin, Texas, but she's now in Washington, D.C., and she's got the Lyme disease and associated disease foundation. And I went on there and it listed several different types of airborne bacteria that attack the skin and cause the Morgellons fibers to occur. They can only be seen from a 200 magnification.
Well, we'll have to pick that up next time. So I will call you probably tomorrow. I've got to go sign off here. Much love and blessings and aloha. I'm sorry we're just out of time. So we will talk later, and we'll have you back again. Thank you so much for listening. Aloha.